Thank you everyone for joining us today and welcome to SPAcademy's open house. Today we're focusing on how to build your own in-house training programs. Throughout this event, you will have the opportunity to hear from several members of our faculty, each sharing their unique areas of expertise within SPAcademy. Our speakers include SPAcademy's president, Nicole Bass, the director of SPAcademy, Bob Pratt, SPAcademy's director of information technology operations, Chris Scott, SPAcademy's Customer Success Manager, Belen Polak, as well as myself, Carissa Hayes, Director of Business Development. We are confident that this event will provide valuable insights and information on how to establish a successful in-house training program. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to a productive open house. I'm going to start with an overview of service professionals. So service professionals originated from a collaboration of 6 commercial HVAC service contractors who aim to establish a peer network focused on best practices, sales training, and business growth. This led to the creation of SP Group, which has since expanded to include 22 commercial HVAC contractors across North America. SP Group now offers a diverse range of tools and resources, including training for customer service, project sales, and leadership roles. One of the notable outcomes of the growth of SP Group was the development of Connect software, which has become a service professionals product utilized by commercial contractors to train and manage their sales teams. Another notable milestone for service professionals was the formation of SPAcademy, which has stemmed from the development of an in-house training program that was granted national approval by the Department of Labor. SPAcademy now offers a comprehensive 4-year apprenticeship program, as well as a continuing education program for senior and union technicians. At this point, I would like to introduce Nicole Bass. As president of service professionals, Nicole is committed to developing the curriculums, content, resources, and peer opportunities dedicated to the growth of commercial HVAC service companies. Nicole brings over a decade of management experience within the commercial HVAC industry. And prior to becoming the president of service professionals, Nicole was the vice president of a large commercial contractor in Georgia. Nicole is now going to provide us with an overview of the circumstances that were surrounding the establishment of SPAcademy, as well as the reasons behind its conception. Please welcome Nicole Bass.
Thank you, Carissa, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So 8 or 9 years ago, we were working with our member companies at SP Group on the labor shortage and how it was impacting their businesses. And they had just started to really feel the pain of it. And our job at SP Group has always been to provide the curriculums that are relevant to the issues of the time or find the resources that are relevant to the issues of the time. So we said, okay, they're struggling to hire technicians. Let's develop curriculums on this. We taught them how to understand their value proposition. We taught interviewing skills. We discussed the talent funnel at length, and that's how many technicians do you need to be talking to in order to meet your quota or your goal of technician new recruits. We created new position descriptions for them. We covered the first 90 days of onboarding technicians, and then we talked about how to retain top talent. And the results of all of these new programs and curriculums were that, yes, people learned some new things, but at the end of the day, it really wasn't solving their problem. And so we took a step back and we said, okay, why is that? Why, if everyone has all of these skills, why are they still not able to bring in enough technicians to meet their needs? And it really boils down to, like that up. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tells us that we have to bring in 41,100 technicians year over year for the next 10 years to meet the demand in the market. And part of that is because for every one HVAC technician that's joining our industry, there are 3 are retiring. But another part of it is just the growth trajectory of our industry. So with the retirement rate and the growth rate, what that means is that we have to just bring in so many HVAC technicians, and that there's that labor shortage that everyone's very well aware of. So as job opportunities increase, the pool of talent continues to decrease. And that means that technicians have become more or less free agents. That's to say that they could leave their company today, the experienced technicians, they could leave their company today and they could have a job at another company tomorrow because they're in such high demand. And that means that loyalty is at an all-time low. Contractor solution that we decided as a group amongst our 22 contractors was that we have to start building them in-house. Now, our job then as SP Group was to go out and source, all right, if we're going to start in-house apprenticeship programs, what's out there that we could use today? And we came up with four criteria that we wanted to make sure met the needs of our contractors. And as we were looking at them, this is what we wanted to find. We wanted to find a curriculum or an apprenticeship program that was made exclusively or specifically for commercial contractors, not residential. We were looking for online accessibility. With the feedback we've gotten from people who had been using in-person apprenticeship programs, the challenge was your education was only as good as the instructor that you had, and instructors were becoming fewer and further between, much like the labor shortage. Also, the flexibility of being able to do a curriculum online rather than sending a technician, across town after hours, whatever it is, was very attractive to our member companies. So we said, okay, let's look for an online program. We wanted to make sure that the program met the needs of not only apprentices, but also your experienced technicians, because it's not just about recruiting in, it's also about retaining the experienced technicians that you have. So we were looking for continuing education plus apprenticeship program. And then finally, we were looking for something that was future proof. That's to say that whatever language it was written in, whatever software people were using was not going to be obsolete in 3 years or 5 years, and that the company was well-founded and reputable. And we didn't find any one solution that met all 4 of these criteria. And so that was where the decision came to build this ourselves. And that is the genesis of SPAcademy. It's a national technician training program created by commercial HVAC service contractors for commercial HVAC service contractors. Our mission is to empower commercial mechanical service contractors to grow from within and increase the recruitment and retention rates in times of record high labor demand. We collaborated with a lot of commercial contractors as we built this. They were all struggling with the aforementioned challenges, the things we were just discussing, and they all had the common objective of establishing an internal training program that was aimed at attracting and retaining top talent, investing in the development of their existing workforce, and creating a steady stream of proficient technicians. The process to build SPAcademy took us about 36 months. And it started with instructional design and configuration. And that actually started at one of our member companies called the Tustin Group up in the Northeast. Very large mechanical contractor, has a very, very talented instructional design engineer and HVAC technician named Mike Piason. And he built out the original curriculum. We then ran that curriculum by our industry partners, other contractors who would be using it, and made adjustments or got feedback from those partners. We then submitted for Department of Labor approval, which we received, and from there created an assessment test that would allow us to place technicians in the year that's appropriate for them, or if it's continuing education, allow us to customize a curriculum for the technician's specific needs. And we'll talk to you more about the assessment test in a little bit. And this last component of it was team augmentation, just ramping up our team to make sure that we were able to support the technicians and the managers and the companies who were going to be getting on the program. And that was incredibly important to us because we know the challenges of taking mechanically minded people and asking them to work with technology for their learning experience. And our customer support team is excellent. You'll get to meet them in a little bit as well. So that is really it, Carissa, the background of why we're doing what we're doing and how we came about it.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I love that overview because it's not only important to explain what it is that we do as an organization, but why we do it. And I think that that's something that's often overlooked with many organizations, but it's so important to us here because it's really what drives us to grow and improve every day. So thank you. Thank you for that, Nicole.
You bet.
So that was a great overview of how we got here today. And just to recap, our years of experience have really provided us with the ability to provide solutions to these significant challenges that we mentioned: the current labor gap, high demand for technicians, development of those in-house training programs, and then recruitment and retention. So since we now have a good understanding of why we do what we do, I'd like to introduce Bob Pratt to explain what it is we do here at SPAcademy. As the director of SPAcademy, Bob Pratt is passionate about the commercial HVAC industry and developing the next generation of HVAC tradespeople. With over 30 years of experience, Bob is an industry specialist who is a skilled educator, mentor, and trainer. Bob's career began in the Navy, where he served aboard 2 nuclear-powered submarines and developed a deep understanding of HVAC systems. Over the years, Bob has held a variety of roles, including service technician, service manager, instructor, vice president, and co-owner of a successful commercial HVAC contracting company. Bob will now take us through the program itself, what's involved, and what we've been able to accomplish with our other partner contractors. Please welcome Bob Pratt.
Thank you, Carissa. At SPAcademy, we really have four main educational products that we offer. We have the assessment test, which we have broken down into two different reports. One for an apprentice or a new technician entering the academy, and the other is geared more towards a senior technician trying to develop a training path to go forward. We have the 4-year apprenticeship program, which is kind of our flagship. That's what most contractors come to us with. It's really interested in. It is a Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program. We have the senior technician continuing education program with over 1,500 hours of online learning available. And then we have a dedicated mentorship program. Like we mentioned before, the apprenticeship program is a nationally recognized Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program. We've earned the designation of a high quality program. It's based around a 4-year curriculum where we have the ability to start the students at first, second, third, or fourth year in the program. The curriculum is designed around 144 hours of online classroom training and 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. The 2,000 hours on the job training is essentially a full-time employee.
And Bob, could you tell people what 144 hours of classroom training kind of equates to from an annual commitment standpoint?
Yeah, if you look at 144 hours, you can break it down in several different ways. But if you think about a student going home and studying or studying in the office about 4 hours a week for 36 weeks, that'll meet the 144 hours of training requirement. So that still leaves a couple months, for instance, the summer months, where they're not as obligated to get down off the roof and rush home and start studying. Most of our students take advantage of that time and they continue and work ahead in the program.
Okay, thank you.
Registering with the Department of Labor is optional, but if the students do register with the Department of Labor, then upon completion of the program, they will receive a certificate recognized throughout the country as completing a Department of Labor recognized apprenticeship program. Our curriculum was based around using 8 separate industry recognized textbooks. We partner with a company called Cengage. Cengage is one of the largest providers of educational and training material throughout the universities, throughout the United States, and in 20 other countries. They're the ones that actually hold the publishing rights and copyrights to the individual textbooks that we use in our curriculum. We picked what we thought was the best information out of each of the textbooks and compiled them in our training program. Our program, it's real easy to navigate. Here you can see a little screenshot of part of the program. Our system is designed around a very popular e-learning platform. It's very mobile adaptive. What I mean by mobile adaptive, the majority of the classes the technicians can take using a cell phone or a tablet. We do recommend for any of the simulations that they use a laptop or a desktop, just due to the size of the graphics, and tablets and cell phones tend to have smaller screens. It's not as user-friendly utilizing the graphics. We have a diverse content medium, everything from reading material, presentations, PowerPoints, videos, flashcards, and of course the simulations. They're all really designed to engage the participant, the learner, so they get the most out of the program. The curriculum is real easy to follow. Here you can see one of the learning pages from the curriculum. And the students just follow the step-by-step instructions, utilizing the different aids that's on the screen. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, right-hand side of the screenshot, there's a number of tools that the learner can use, everything from the ability to take notes, a glossary page, full book feature, a read to me feature, etc. The full book feature and the read to me feature are two of my favorites. The full book feature, it gives the learner the ability to utilize the entire textbook. We may have only taken a dozen chapters out of that particular textbook, but the learner has the access to the full e-textbook and can go from table of contents from one end of the book to the other. It also allows them to print out a number of pages from the book at any given time in case they want a paper copy. The read to me feature will actually read the text on the screen, just as it's written in the book, to the technician. So if he or she's going down the road, or they're sitting around the house, have their earbuds in, they can get some additional learning time. They can just press a button and have the information read to them. Simulations in our course are very popular. Most of the technicians really seem to enjoy them. Majority of the contractors I've spoken with, they dispatch their technician using either a tablet or a cell phone. Typically, a dispatcher will send the information via cell phone to the technician, and that's the same way it's set up in the simulations. In this particular case, this simulation, the dispatcher sends the information to the technician, letting them know that the freezer is not working properly at Smitty's Barbecue. And the technician will take it, he'll look at the information, put his cell phone away, and he'll be able to start troubleshooting. Just like a real world scenario, technician can go to any component within the freezer. He can go to the evaporator, he can go to the condenser. You see on the simulation on the left-hand side, there's a few tools that they have access to. A procedure guide will actually give the technician step-by-step information, troubleshooting tree, if you would, to actually go through and be able to troubleshoot the equipment. There's a list of repairs, which is essentially a service ticket that the technician can fill out. Once he fills it out, he'll let the technician know if he's right on his diagnosis and repair or if he's wrong. Right below that, there's a toolbox. That's where the technician would access any of the tools that he needs. On the right-hand side, there's wiring diagrams, procedure diagrams. You can see a copy of one of the wiring diagrams right here. It's in full color, very easy to use. You can see on the left-hand side some of the tools. When you open up the toolbox, it's available to the technician. They have an amp probe, a multimeter, digital psychrometer, a set of digital gauges, pretty much all the tools you would need to be able to troubleshoot and diagnose the system properly. And again, you can see on the right-hand side, they still have those other tools we had mentioned that you have on the learning page, as far as the full book feature and the glossary, ability to take notes, etc. Here you see on this screen, there's a picture of a time clock. You would get, if you're troubleshooting the time clock, that's just one of the many components they can troubleshoot. They can put a meter on there. They'll be able to see if the contacts are open, if the contacts are closed, if it's getting a signal on the low voltage side, if it has power on the high voltage side. A couple other things that's nice about the program. It actually requires a technician to ensure he closes all the covers, puts away all the tools, and even sweeps up the mechanical room, the work area, in order to get full credit, just to reinforce those good work habits.
Great. Thank you very much, Bob. That was a great overview of the SPAcademy programs, as well as the simulation demonstration as well. I think that's very helpful for everybody on the line to be able to see. It's great that everything has been implemented to not only diversify the different training methods, but also to modernize it as well. There really is something different for each type of learner, which is great. And I know that when I interviewed one of our fourth-year apprentices, she had said her favorite method was the simulations. Do you have a favorite method of learning, Bob?
I enjoy the hands-on learning, which would include the simulations, but it's really nice to be able to get the information presented to you in different fashion. You can read the information, you have somebody actually tell you, present a presentation, you watch a video, you can walk around the mechanical room, and then you dive into the simulation. So when you start the simulations, you're already familiar with all the information and you're ready to really do a good job at it. It's not new information by the time you get to simulations.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes total sense. I'd just like to pause here for everybody, just to take a moment to scan that QR code on the screen. Upon scanning this, you will be sent a copy of the apprenticeship program's curriculum. And while you're doing that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is Chris Scott. Chris Scott is a seasoned professional with over 17 years of experience in customer service and management. As the Director of Information Technology Operations, Chris brings a wealth of knowledge and a sincere dedication to helping other people succeed. With nearly 2 decades of experience in programming and development, you will also find Chris mastering SPAcademy's user experience by making it as simple and user-friendly as possible. Chris is now going to review SPAcademy's assessment test with us. Please welcome Chris Scott.
Thank you, Carissa, for that amazing introduction. Today, I want to go over the Technician Skill Assessment Test, which is another great offering within SPAcademy. That Technician Skill Assessment Test will definitely give you a great base of where your technician's strengths and opportunities lie. Now, the assessment is broken into 2 parts, which is 150 questions in total, which can take anywhere from 90 to 120 minutes to complete. Now, I will say this, that there are some technicians that are faster at it, and there are some technicians that are slower at it. Now, there are 2,000 unique questions that are generated from the textbooks that we talked about earlier, where it makes the questions a little bit trickier for some, right? So some of the questions actually may be similar to the others. So some of the questions may be similar to the others. What that means is you really have to be in depth with each question, because if you kind of just skim over these questions, you may be missing a critical point in what it's actually looking for. Now, as I said, that there are 2,000 unique questions from the industry standard textbooks, but what it will actually do is actually generate 2 reports for you for either your apprenticeship or your continuing education program. Now, as we see on the left-hand side here, that the apprenticeship placement test will break it down by year for you and tell you where the technician placed based off their results. This recommendation will tell you if they are in year 1, year 2, year 3, or year 4. And it's based off the 13 different competencies that we offer within SPAcademy. So example being, if we have controls, which the technician scored really high in year 1, but scored really low in year 2 for air systems, we can definitely assign them a year 2, but we would recommend a year 1 based off that information. Now, what does that mean for you though? You actually know the technician better than we ever will, right? So if you know that technician knows that the air systems very well, and they may be not such a great test taker, you can recommend that we place them in year 2 at that point in time. It will totally go off your recommendation for that. And then also on the right-hand side, we're looking at the Senior Technician Continuing Education Report as well, where it actually breaks it down by the 13 competencies as well, and it'll actually give you an average of where the technician placed. So this is the average of all the technicians that have taken the skills assessment test within the platform, and it shows you kind of where their strengths and opportunities lie. Belinda, which we see one of our customer success manager, will actually be the one presenting these reports to you and your technicians at the completion of this. And as I said, we will go off your recommendation to what you want to place the technician in.
Hey, Chris, I want to highlight something here real quick that you said. The test taking ability of people, both of these tests are meant to be useful references that you can use if you're unsure where to start a technician. We have seen bad test takers, and they're either a bad test taker because they get nervous and the results come back and you're like, oh, I really was sure that they'd at least be a year 2, if not a year 3, and they came back, they tested as year 1. Our goal is to make sure that they're successful. So if you believe that by placing them in year 2 or year 3, they're still going to be successful, they're not going to fail every quiz, then yeah, let's do it. Absolutely, we trust you. With the continuing education, with the senior technicians, when they take the assessment, we've seen, unfortunately, more than once. And so we always give them very thorough instructions on this, because what we've seen is that they're so confident in their abilities that they fly through this test that takes most people an hour and a half to 3 hours to complete. They're completing it in under 30 minutes. And then they get a terrible score because they weren't reading the questions very well. And then they come back and, the test it's not good because I should have scored much higher. The reality is all 2,000 of the questions on these tests come directly from the textbooks themselves. So they're very, so we have a lot of confidence in the questions. It really has to do with the test taker. But again, these are not the end all be all of understanding your technicians, but they are really, really useful resources in finding a starting point for them.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And I do recommend that you take your time on that test. It's not a race. Just read the material, really understand the question, and really dive at it. You will get that better understanding of that technician. As we're looking on here, this is just a short overview of 100 different courses that are available on SPAcademy, which are available to the technicians for the continuing education program. I do recommend that you do not assign all your technician every single one of these courses at one time. It's kind of an overload for the technician. I recommend go with what their strengths are and then look at their opportunities and figure out which best for them. This will actually give you the 13 different competencies and descriptions of these competencies. So like example, if we're looking at air distribution and balance, it'll tell you what that lesson's about and what you're actually going to learn within that system. Just another great offering within SPAcademy, and we're really here to build your technicians for the future.
Yeah, and I think the point here also is just that it's very custom per technician based on what that assessment was. We're going to make sure that, our recommendation was that you don't just assign them everything, but where do you start? Well, that starts with the assessment. Where do they score lowest? Let's start with those courses and then reevaluate.
Absolutely. And as we're looking right here, with over 1,500 hours of learning, this is a curriculum that you can actually download by scanning the QR code. This will give you a really good detail of what we offer within SPAcademy for the continuing education program.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris, for the overview of the assessment tests. And we'll leave the QR code up there for a moment for everyone to scan it. I think it's really important what both you and Nicole are saying here about just taking your time to run through the assessments, as well as the coursework, as well as the simulations, as well as everything through the program, just to make sure you're really taking it all in and working towards a goal here and really taking this information with you into the future. So I think all of that's really important and really great advice. So thank you for running us through that. I think that this also really emphasizes the importance for each organization to have a dedicated person to act as a mentor, to explain to them what these goals are and what they're trying to accomplish and walk them through each stage of this process. So I'd really like to touch on the mentorship program that SPAcademy has dedicated to anybody who is looking to invest in this. So it is our recommendation that each contractor assign a dedicated mentor in-house who will work directly with the technicians as they go through the program. However, one of the challenges that we've seen with some organizations is they don't have the ability to dedicate an assigned mentor. So in such cases, SPAcademy can assign someone to fulfill this role. The SPAcademy mentorship program is designed to provide the following support on the slides here. So for goal setting, the mentor would meet with the student and focus on setting expectations and setting those achievable goals, and they would be working with the supervisor to do this as well. The instructional support, the mentor would provide additional instruction where needed on difficult concepts or theories, or even just to walk them through something if they wanted a little bit more information on a certain concept. Check-ins and encouragement. Your technician will have regular check-ins on their progress, both informal and formal. And then finally, progress reporting for supervisors. Supervisors will receive regular updates of technicians' progress to include recommendations for additional support if needed. I'm just going to take a moment here to note that we do have field lab books available. They are available online, but we do also offer them in hard copy as well for any technician who may be on the road or would prefer to have a hard copy of the information. They can be printed off in hard copy as well. We've also gathered a selection of testimonials from satisfied participating contractors, and I'll allow you to take a moment to read through some of them here. If you would like a referral, please contact us. We'd be happy to put you in touch with some of the existing users of the program. At the end of the presentation, there will be a slide with all of our contact information listed. Please feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to support you with this.
Krista, while they're reading through those, I just wanted to say that the experience of building and working with contractors on SPAcademy has been so incredibly positive for us. And I believe for our partner contractors as well, based on their testimonials and referrals. It definitely feels more like a collaborative, hey, we're doing this together. We're doing this for the industry. Everybody needs this. Everybody benefits from it. And so as we were building it, even back, 3 years ago, all the way up through until today, what we found is that every one of our, I hate to call them even customers because it feels more like partners, and that they provide us valuable feedback, and not just positive feedback and like, hey, we love it, this is great, but hey, what if we did this? What if we added this? What if we created this resource? And some things are very company specific and it wouldn't be, an SPAcademy defined process or resource, but it does allow us to share those best practices from one business to another to say, hey, here's what's working. Here's what's getting technicians excited about the program. And what we found by that approach of just partnering with people to make it better, make it successful, is that we have yet to have anybody get on this program and then get back off of it. They just haven't done it. It's getting incredibly high reviews, and we've created such great partnerships that people get on, they stay on it. And for that reason, what we're going to do, or what we're starting to do now, is a 30-day free trial. We feel so confident in the ability for this to be the right solution for contractors that we want you guys to give it a shot, implement it. Maybe it's only with a couple of technicians, but give it, implement it in your business. And then if you're not happy with it for any reason, we will refund you that first implementation fee. And we feel confident that you will be happy with it, but just in case you're not, we're happy to make that 30-day free trial for you. So with that instead, let's look at what the pricing is for SPAcademy. We have 4 different models here. What you're seeing on the far left here is the $4.99 for the assessments. That is if you just want an assessment. You don't want curriculum, you don't want an apprenticeship, you don't want anything. I just want to do an assessment on my technician. That's $4.99 for the assessment. If you want to sign up a small handful of technicians, under 5 technicians, then it's $2,800 per tech per year. And that's for a full 12-month access to the program. It does include your own custom LMS platform. That means that it is your logo, your colors. Whenever your technicians log in, we're an extension of you at that point. And then there's a one-time configuration fee to set up that site for you and do all the onboarding and training of $1,500. If you purchase a skills assessment for $4.99, and then later you decide you want to go ahead and sign up that technician for the apprenticeship program or for the continuing education program, what we do is credit the cost of that assessment to that program. That way we're not double dipping, right? And so we'll definitely do that for you. The third tier that you see here in blue is the multi-tech. So if you're signing up 5 technicians or more, what we do is drop that rate down to $2,300 per technician per year, and we waive the $1,500 startup fee. The way our licenses work is we start that clock the first time they log in. So if you only really need 3 licenses right now, you can still bank the other 2 licenses and use them whenever you need them, and we'll start the clock as soon as you start using those. The final model that we have here is our enterprise model. If you have a bulk amount of technicians, we're willing to work with you on what that annual fee is per technician. This is typically 30, 40, 50 and above technicians. We can also work with you on a custom training calendar because we know that it is a lot to take on that kind of magnitude of onboarding. And we can also help you with all of your internal campaigns and newsletters to generate that excitement internally about this new initiative that you're putting out, and also help with some of the leadership and mentorship development programs to ensure that this program is going to be successful for you. When looking at the cost analysis of investing in your technicians, one way to look at it is just in that one technician represents $250,000 to $400,000 per truck. And depending on the cost of living and where you are, for California or possibly New York, it would be much higher than that. But this is what we're seeing on average. And it's not just about the technicians that you're bringing in. And as you grow, we're wanting to, as you grow that additional $250,000 or $400,000 in revenue, needing to bring in that technician, but it's about keeping the technicians that you have. In the world where loyalty is unfortunately lower than in the past, being able to offer the technicians the continuing education experience, letting them know that you're investing in them is incredibly important. And I want to introduce to you now Belen Polak. She's our customer success manager. Belen has a 7+ year industry experience in customer success. Between her and Chris, they have really changed the way that we looked at customer support and success, in that they do everything from a data-driven mindset. So they can constantly improve their processes based on the data that they receive in from technician support requests. So Belen's going to walk you through the best practices that we've seen so far on implementing your own in-house apprenticeship program. Basically, there are 8 decisions you have to make from that point forward. We've got it from there. So Belen, I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Thank you for that introduction, Nicole. As Nicole had mentioned, we have put a checklist together with 8 easy steps in order to help you with the onboarding process. The first step is going to be assign a manager. This person should be an HR person or an admin person. We have seen that the most successful people are those for that role. The second step is going to be assigning a mentor. For this particular one, we definitely recommend it being a service field supervisor because the technicians are going to go to this person with technical questions and they're going to be the best point of contact for them. Step number 3 is going to be how many techs you want to assign into the program. This is going to be based on your internal needs and your budget. The next step is going to be the selection process. In this part, we have seen a couple of companies that have done applications. There has been formal and informal requirements that they have done. We can also help you with that, but that's going to be how the selection process will work, and it will just depend on however you want to handle that. The fifth step is going to be if you want to go ahead and get your technicians with the Department of Labor or not. You just have to let us know so we can send you the right paperwork so we can get that started for you. Step number 6 is going to be learning tools. The majority of the courses can be completed on cell phones or tablets. The simulations must be done on a laptop or a desktop. We have seen some best practices from companies that have created a learning center for their technicians so they can do the simulations there. So that's an option for you. And then the last step is going to be a kickoff meeting with us. So the kickoff meeting with us, we can go ahead and just schedule a meeting between your team and our team. So we can go ahead and just show your technicians how to just get started and everything with the program. In here, you're going to be able to see the PDF version that we have created for the checklist that I just mentioned. If you would like a copy, I can give you a moment so you can go ahead and scan the QR code.
While they're doing that, Belen, I would just reiterate, it is your own in-house apprenticeship program. That means that you can run it. There's a lot of flexibility in how you run it, how you promote it, who you select to be a part of it. We'll provide you some success stories that we've heard from other companies. But at the end of the day, you do have ultimate flexibility in making this successful for you.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. The SPAcademy support, our support team, we have a couple of ways that you can communicate with us. We have our email, our phone number. There's also an option within the platform where you can submit a ticket. We offer support in English and in Spanish, and an average response time per ticket is about 32 minutes as of last month. And it just keeps getting better.
I can't praise you enough on this one, Belen. The support, the feedback we get on our support is very, very, very positive. And being able to see these metrics is very important to us, especially as we grow. Even if a phone call comes in, Belen and Chris are logging it as a support ticket. That way we can track the resolution time and what the issue was, and then continue to evaluate our processes to make sure that we're minimizing the number of support issues that come in. So great job there.
Thank you. And then the last one I have is going to be your support responsibilities. Collect feedback from your technicians and mentors, analyze feedback from process improvements, review technician progress through coursework, and mentor technician through challenges. These are just some of the best practices we have seen to be successful with the companies that we work with. And now I will go ahead and hand it back to Carissa.
Thanks, Belen, and thank you for walking us through that. And thank you for providing the PDFs as well that outline those 8 simple steps for implementing the program. I think that the visual really helps to see that the process has been simplified as much as possible. And we really have figured out that exact process to get this set up for you as easy as possible. And what's taken us years to build you can implement in just 2 weeks. And each contractor we partnered with are now experiencing extremely positive responses from the program. So some of those key results that we've received from the participating contractors they're all presently experiencing a higher level of employee retention. They're all encountering less difficulty in attracting top talent. They all have a promising pipeline of future technicians, and they all have the ability to expand in the future. So thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to working with you to implement your own in-house training programs in the future. And we're going to do a Q&A now, but please stick around until the end because we want to review what's coming up in the future for SPAcademy And we're also going to provide our contact information at the end as well. So we will open it to Q&A now.
And I'll go ahead and stop sharing so we can see the screen or Q&A coming in. First question we have is, can a technician start in any year? Absolutely, they can start in any year. If you know what year they should begin in based on their prior experience or prior learning, you can just tell us. Or if you're not really sure and you want to do the placement test, we can do the placement test. But the short answer is yes, they can start as a year 4 if you want them to. Do you have to do the apprenticeship or can you choose the courses you want? If you're not wanting a structured apprenticeship, that's where we have the continuing education curriculum. Man, I am struggling with that. And that's to say that, yes, if you already know what courses you want to take, we can assign you those courses. If you're not sure and it's based on how well you do on the assessment, then we'll do the assessment first and then assign you the courses that are most relevant. And each license runs for a full 12 months. So even if you complete those courses and you've got some 12 months left, let's add some more onto your profile, and you can take more courses from there. Can you take the assessment on your mobile phone? Yes, you can. But keep in mind that it's an hour and a half to 3 hours long. So it might be more comfortable to do it at least on a tablet or maybe a laptop. Technically, yes, you can take it on your mobile phone. You NATE approved. Bob, do you want to talk about NATE a little bit?
Sure, be happy to. We are set up as an approved NATE authorized testing center. And we're also an authorized NATE training center. Currently have probably 15, 16 of our classes that have been submitted and approved for NATE continuing education credits. And we're continuing to add more courses on there for NATE. In addition, we're also set up as an ESCO training center and an ESCO testing center. And we have some ESCO courses that you'll be able to take for ESCO continuing education also.
Great. Can a technician complete the program faster than the 1 year? Yes, they can. In fact, they often do complete the 144 hours in well under a year. But for the Department of Labor approval, for the Department of Labor certification, the 2,000 hours of on-the-job learning are still required. So they still have to have that full-time job. And at the end of that work year is when they'll actually receive credit for that full year's curriculum. Do union companies use the apprenticeship program? Yes, but only in supplement to the union training. So it's not meant to replace union training. If you are a union company, you would still use the union school. But in some cases, you either have a student who just isn't getting a concept or just needs some additional support. In other cases, we've had contractors who just feel like the union training needed some supplement, and they'll send apprentices through both at the same time. We've also had it where unions are using, actually more often than not, what we see is that unions use the continuing education component of it. So their technicians have already completed the union training, they're already a journeyman, and now they need to get their continuing ed hours, or they just want to be invested in. They just want to learn, they want to continue to learn. And that's where we see them sign up for that. I'm on the program, and I have technicians on the program, and I want to add mentorship. Is there an additional fee for that? There is. It's $800 per technician per year if you want us to be their mentor. And by us, I mean Bob. But it is recommended that you have somebody in-house, and we can even work with you on best practices for being a positive mentor for your technician. But in the event your organization just doesn't have that role, we can do that for you for $800 per technician. Any other questions? While you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to share my screen one more time. And I want to talk to you a little bit about where we are going this fall. September 30th is our launch date. We are rewriting the part of the program that allows you to browse through courses and view the management portal for technician progress and all of that. If you're familiar with learning management systems, then you know that they're very robust on how to organize a course for the student's experience, but they're usually not great on the reporting aspect of it. So our SPAcademy is actually made up of 2 different programs. You would never realize you're in 2 different programs. From a user experience, it just feels like one seamless program for you. But on our side, it's actually a program that Chris wrote to lay on top of the learning management system. The LMS or learning management system that we use is called Moodle. Globally, one of the largest, most robust LMSs out there. I think its counterpart is Blackboard, which is usually used in K through 12. The program we have that sits on top of that we have absolute flexibility to customize to meet the needs of you guys, that's what's getting rewritten. And what you're looking at here on the screen is a prototype of what it's going to look like, which is why some of the images are a little bit interesting. The reason we're rewriting it is because we want to allow other content providers to put their content on our site as well. What that means for you is, and for your technicians, is that you've got one site where you can access all of the quality content that's being created for the commercial HVAC industry. Names like Interplay Learning, Smart Buildings Academy, and some others, but we're starting with these 2, will be layering in their courses onto this site. That means that your technicians only have one login instead of multiple logins to multiple LMS systems. You know, when we first started having these conversations, what we were saying was, look, none of us are in the business of being an LMS. We're in the business of providing training content. And if we can consolidate all of that training content onto one simplified platform, then it's really for the benefit of our technicians and our teams. That doesn't mean that you can't continue to work with Interplay Learning on their platform or Smart Building Academy on their platform. That just means that you have options and that you can use it all through one or keep them separate as you'd like. We don't negotiate any special pricing on your behalf with Interplay Learning or Smart Building Academy. That is still a partnership between you and them. We're just trying to make it easier for your technicians. So you'll see in the new version, all the different content that's available, who made that content, and then you'll be able to click on that name to access all the courses from that content provider. The prices that you see on this page are completely made up for design purposes. So don't look at those prices as what it is that you're going to get any courses for. All right, and I wanted to point one more thing out or bring this to your attention. This is a quote that I saw recently, just a couple of weeks ago, and it really stuck with me. And I think it's very relevant whenever we talk about building an in-house apprenticeship program. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. When you think about where you would be today if you had started an in-house apprenticeship program 4 or 5 years ago, is in a very different position than you are today. Same is true moving forward. If you can look at your future company, look at your future self 4 or 5 years down the road, where would your company be if you started an in-house program today versus waiting? And I just think that's very powerful to think about. And with that, we'll go on to the last bit here.
So thank you so much for joining us today and for taking the time out of your day to learn about SPAcademy. If you are looking to learn more or you'd like to meet with us and ask any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any of the email addresses or phone number listed here. Or you can scan the QR code and you can put a calendar invite directly into our calendars, and we would be happy to meet with you to just answer questions or to run through the whole program. Whatever time you need, we're happy to assist you with that. So thank you again for your time, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, everybody.